Come to sit in a comfortable position. I always start in Virasana, you don't have to. But I will talk you through Virasana. So as you saw, I came down onto my shins. I sit on a block at this level. You can sit on this level, you can have 2 blocks. Sit on a block at that level. And then I pull my feet out so the heels are wide of the hips so that if I was to take the block away and sit deeper, I'd be in between. I am still rehabbing / healing these injuries. From one was in August, and then September. In August I got hurt at this parkour course, and then I re-injured like exactly the same but worse in probably late September, early October, and I think, and some other people we spoke to think I had a stress fracture of my big toe. And I am finally, I'd say, at about 85%. So sit up nice and tall. Let's chant 1 Om. And the point I want to make about this big toe injury, which has been really painful, like wearing shoes is painful, and when I ice skate, the toe hurts afterwards. When I hike, sometimes it hurts during. I got these new boots and it hurts, blah, 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 right? So the toe hurts, and let's come and sit on the tops of the feet. So bring your knees together, bring the feet together, bring the heels together. I push my heels together with my fingers. I pull the flesh of the buttocks apart, and I try to hook my heels inside the sit bones and spread the toes open. So, it's been a bunch of months, and what I think is I try to compare myself to someone who has no body knowledge and doesn't help people out of pain, and what they would have done with this stress fracture of the toe. I don't know that if they went to the doctor the night, like when I did it. All right, so we're going to switch now. You're going to come up, tuck your toes. And maybe they would have went to the emergency room, got an x-ray, showed a stress fracture, and put them into an immobilizing boot for a couple of weeks, which is not the approach I took. I didn't think I broke it at the time. So this is like the first time I'm really back in this big toe. This feels so good. Like I'm upright. Not that I'm self-obsessed. But I felt like my foot, when I fell the second time, my foot folded in on itself, and that's when I messed up the toe. So I always thought it was a ligament from the ankle messing up the toe, but it might be a stress fracture. Come on back, switch. That made me so happy. So like, I don't know, the point is 3 months later, I'm finally really kind of healed, or healing for real, because that I just put a lot of pressure on that. And the question is, now lean backwards if you can. Put your hands by your sides if you can, and pull the shins up off the floor if you can. So just see how that goes. Bring the hands in front of the heart. Don't lean too much to one side. And release. Switch again. We're going to tuck the toes. Second side, second time. Doesn't feel as good this time. So you might have been put into a boot. You might have avoided putting pressure on the toe, which is the exact opposite of the approach I took. Maybe it wasn't a bad injury, though it felt really bad. And again, 2 injuries, one after the other, really compounds things. And release, come on up to stand. Grab a ball, I use tennis balls. I should start announcing at the beginning to grab a ball, but I always forget to, so we'll stay about a minute on each foot, starting in about 10 seconds, and I'll just play. So you can use, if you have foot problems, you could use, people use frozen water bottles. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I like my tennis ball. You could spend more money and buy, expensive rolling balls. You can buy half balls so that don't squirt away. So just cover one foot. Let's start, I'm on the left, so let's stick with that. Just use just the left foot. And I'll show you a little trick about that. But I put a lot of weight into it. Really, I put a good amount of pressure down in. And I think this is a great thing for people to do every day. Not everyone needs it every day, but if you have foot stuff, if you feel like your feet are tight or cramped, or it's just good stuff. It opens the plantar fascia, and it just gets some movement in 4 layers of intrinsic muscle in the feet. They're getting kind of worked here. It's just like a massage. Nice release, parallel feet. So bow forward over the legs, feel that forward bend, feel the difference in the 2 legs. And I think you should feel like the left foot is more released, the left hamstring is longer and looser, the left shoulder lower. Let's get a sense of that, feel for that. Come on up. We'll do the second side, so we'll do the right side starting in a few seconds. And hit it, right foot on the tennis ball. Roll it out. I got a little lost in thought there. 10 more seconds. I do amuse myself. All right, and release the ball. Bow forward over the legs. All right, let's go through the usual retinue of stretches. I don't know if you've noticed, but I put up a 10-minute routine. Bend the right leg, take the right foot with the right hand, bring the left arm up. I put up a 10-minute routine on the yoga class page. So instead of all these hour-long classes or 45 or whatever, I just put up a 10-minute stretching routine that covers basically the tennis ball. I think I do a tennis. Yeah, there's a tennis ball and this and my shoulder stretches that I do all the time. I just actually put it together for a client and realized, well, this is just a release, second side, left foot. It's a simple, basic routine. And it's 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a good number. Pull that foot back, turn the left hip forward, stretch that arm up. Nice, and release. Arms up, take the right wrist with the left hand, turn the right palm to face the left, stick the butt out, drop the ribs, side stretch. So I'm trying not to swing my hips, though they moved a little bit. I like the hips stable, stationary. Soften the backs of the knees. Like if you watch me lock my knees, look at the space between my legs, and when I soften my knees, the shins come more towards the midline. Come on up, switch wrists, thighs back, ribs down. So you're trying to really stretch just the side, not lean backwards, not lean forwards. The forward is better than back. Pull the rib cage away from the pelvis. Try not to swing the legs. Try not to lock the knees, and come on up. Awesome. Left arm up, left palm turns back, up down the back, right arm back and around. Elbow points straight up. Ribs down. You want to breathe into that right wrist. Release. Right arm up, right palm back, drop the right hand down the back. Point that elbow straight up, left elbow straight down, and release. Nice, one more. Right arm under the left. We'll come back to the legs. Ribs down and in, elbows up, shoulders on the back. Little counterintuitive. Then feel what you do what you want with the arms, right? So I think when you pull the arms away, stretch should get way more intense. It's just not going to be for everybody. Just feel that. I'm trying to keep my upper arm parallel to the floor, shoulders on the back. Release, unwrap, rewrap, left arm under the right. Thighs back, ribs down, shoulders on the back. Play with that forearm position against the parallel upper arms. So perpendicular to the floor is fine, right? So then the upper arm is parallel to the floor and the upper and lower arm at a right angle, but you can play with that angle to change. Shoulders on the back and release. We'll do one more standing thing and then we'll get down. Cross the right foot over the left. Trying to line up the pinky toes. The second I do this, it locks my left knee. So I got to bend my left knee in and then wrap the pelvis to the front, stick my butt out to bow forward over the legs. I T-band stretch. Once you get there, it's all in this left hip for me. Once you get there, move your pelvis in such a way to find the stretch you're looking for. And a lot of the work, now my feet both get flat and I'm pushing the big toes down, but a lot of the work is also not to let the left knee lock. Come on up. You can have a block for your hands or a chair for your hands. It's totally good. Left foot crosses the right. Right knee bends into the left. The hips are pointing forward. Come on down. Play with the position of the pelvis. You're trying to ground the feet. The feet might not be flat. Everyone is different. The more you bend forward, probably the more you feel it, and then the position of the pelvis ends up. Come on up. All right, I lied. One more standing thing. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. So this in and of itself is a really interesting balance for me. I like hip points forward, shoulders forward, and you're going to bend the left knee, and you're going to come to a squat. And then you're doing the balance work, but you're also getting some piriformis stretch and quadratus femoris stretch, depending upon your tightness. Step up to the inner left foot. Then the right foot comes to parallel. Left ankle crosses the right knee. You have to be able to balance. Hip points forward, hip points level as best you can. Bend that right knee. So I'm trying to track my right knee over my right ankle, but my pelvis really gets torqued on this side. I want my shin parallel to the floor and the mat and the right knee over the ankle. Just a lot more work on this side for me. And then the inner right foot presses down to come up. All right, stand up in front of the mat. Thighs back, ribs down and in. Inhale the arms up. Bow forward over the length. Step the right foot way back to a long lunge. Step the left foot to down facing dog. Breathe easy. You can do a lot of this stuff that we're going to do now on hands, and you could step the hands. You can, if you want to not do, we're just going to do a couple of Surya Namaskar. You can just step the right foot forward, step the right foot back, step the left foot forward, step the left foot back, and not come through the whole vinyasa. But if you can, step the right foot forward, step the left to meet it. Inhale the arms up. Bow forward. Step the left foot back, long lunge. Downward facing dog. You notice I was on my fingertips to come back. I don't often do that. I don't know why I did it today. Breathe easy in down dog, full on extension. It is easier though, it gives you some space.
And left foot forward, right foot to meet it. Inhale the arms up.
Release the arms by your side. We're gonna do one more round of that. Starting with the other foot, inhale the arms up.
Bow forward over the legs. Step the left foot back, long lunge. Downward facing dog. You see, I always make my dog longer. I like a really long dog. I get to do more work with my shoulders and my arms. This is about extension. Full on extension in the legs, in the arms, in the spine. Don't sink into the shoulders. If you can help it, you want to lift up as much as you press down. Left foot forward. Right foot to meet it. Inhale the arms up. Bow forward over the legs. Right foot back. Left foot to meet it. I like that fingertip thing. Make sure your pinkies are not too wide. Find the inner hand, find the inner foot. Inner thighs back and apart. Inner arms open out. Press into the inner hand and reach up through the hips. Step the right foot forward. Step the left. Inhale the arms up. And release the arms by your sides. Breathe easy.
All right, we're gonna, you can either make your way with me to down dog / hands and knees, or just come onto your hands and knees. Inhale the arms up.
Bow forward over the legs. Step the right foot back, long lunge. Downward facing dog. Nice, come onto your hands and knees.
So you can now do everything we're doing from hands and knees or from downward dog. Yogi's choice.
So if you're on hands and knees, you can step the right foot forward. If you're in downward foot facing dog, you can step the right foot forward.
Bring the hands onto the front knee. So if you see my initial setup, I'm creating this box. Right leg at a front leg at a right angle, and pointing this back foot, and then I come forward. And actually, in coming forward, I'm taking a lot of weight off of the kneecap and lifting up. So it's interesting about my toe injury that I'm obsessed with. My inner knee ligament has not healed in the same way the toe has. All right, so this is a quad stretch, and I'm not like crunching my back backwards. I'm just getting nice extension. All right, step back, either hands and knees or downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward, and then right knee comes down, or it's already down. And then try to create that same right angle. Point or tuck the back foot, don't sickle the foot. Hands on the front knee. Checking the foot is great, and let that front knee go forward. And again, it's not a back bend unless I say let's back bend. This is pretty neutral spine, quad stretch. This Saturday at 2 p.m., special time, back bending for beginners. All right, come on back. Down dog or hands and knees. Step the right foot forward. Come onto the knee if you need to. And now we're going to go into the hamstring. So this time I'm keeping a right angle in the back leg, thigh, and shin, keeping the hips back, and walking the right leg forward, flexing the right foot, and bowing forward over the leg. Deep hamstring stretch. Beware of the desire to swing the hips left. Keep that left hip on top of the left knee. And stretch. So flexing the right foot. Come out of the stretch. Point the right foot. Bow forward again. Square the hips. Nice. And come on back.
Hands and knees are downward dog. Second side, step the left foot forward. So again, this time, when you come up, you want to create this right angle at the back leg. Slip the left foot forward. Flex the left foot. And come forward. So again, I'm flexing first, squaring the hips, looking for that meat of the hamstring, not at the back of the knee, not at the sit bone, right at the meat of the muscle. Come up a little, point, come back down. What kind of extension do you get through that front foot? Everyone is so different. Point through the inner foot. Nice, come on back up. Down dog, your hands and knees. And again, I just walk my hands forward more to start so I get that longer dog. Let's come back to the quad. Step the right foot forward. All right, so let's set up the same way to start. Yeah, let's tuck the back toes. You can grab a blanket for your knees if you want, which I'm going to. I'm getting more tender in my old age. On the right side, right? So we're setting up that, we're going to tuck the back toes, setting up that same right angle to start, and you can put your hands here to start and you can go further. But if you want, you're going to slip that right foot back 2 or 3 inches. So I actually slip the left knee back at the same time when I do that. So I'm just creating a very different box by slipping the front foot back and the left knee back, but then watch, when my knee comes forward and my hip gets lower, my heel doesn't come up. And that's really what determines how far back the front foot goes. It can't, you want the foot to be grounded. So, but you can stay in a much more shallow pose like we did the first time. So square your hips, hands on the front knee to start. And you're going to let that front knee go forward, but you have to make sure that the left hip is leading the way. This should be a deeper quad stretch in the back leg. This time, if you want to bring the arms up, and then if you want to think, if you're tucking that back toe, steadying the big toe, if you want to think back bend, it's up and back. You are not dropping back into the low spine. You are reaching up through the front of the body as much as the back of the body, or up through the back of the body as much as the front of the body. No compression, and hands and knees, or downward dog. Step the left foot forward. Step the left foot forward and I'll be right back. Sorry about that. So left side, tucking that back toe, slipping that left foot back, moving. It's just a matter of how do you get lower. So slipping that left knee back might make more sense than walking that front foot back. So then I go deeper, keep squaring the hips so the pelvis is moving in one piece forward, not left side forward. And then now when the arms come up, in the beginning, I'm pretty neutral. I can pull my ribs in. And if I go up and back, I am not shortening here, right? I am lengthening in the back to try to shorten the front to extend the spine. And that frees the neck up to go with it. Lunges get complicated, right? Because the pelvis wants to move down. Step back, hands and knees are down, dog. Reach up through the hips, forward through the hands, pinkies in line. Oh, you got to me. So sorry.
All right.
Let's go back to the hamstring. So hands and knees are down dog. Right foot forward. Check that back leg. Doesn't want to sickle in. Foot doesn't want to sickle. Point or tuck. I should tuck. Okay, so this time it's a little different. You are squaring the hips, flexing the foot, and trying not to let the hips go off to the left, right? So right foot is forward. We want the left outer hip on top of the left outer knee. Flex the foot as much as you can. Press through the inner foot and start externally rotating the right leg. Now, all these different things might happen. One, the foot might want to point, and I want you to keep working the flexion. And the hips might want to go left, and I want you to try to keep them where they are. Though you're welcome to go left, flex, and come back to center. So feel that, do that. Go forward if that's working. Flex, press through the inner foot, rotate more, pull the hip in. Strong straight leg, you're trying to engage the quad. And come on back up and switch. So from down dog or hands and knees, left foot comes forward, back leg at a right angle, flex, and external rotation with flexion, and not letting the hips fly to the right this time. Square the hips, flex the foot, press through the inner foot, externally rotate. So I think this, for me, always gets into the back of the knee. And just some stuff in there that tends to be tight. Flex, press through the inner foot, rotate the leg open, and pull the hips to the left, and then engage that left quad and try to stretch that open. And back to center, and release, and downward facing dog. For hands and knees. Actually, let's all take child's pose. Come back to hands and knees or downward dog. And now pigeon pose. So we're going to bring the right knee forward. And I bring the right foot straight, right knee straight forward so it lands inside the wrist. I don't take the leg out to the side at all. You're going to see how that goes. I do not put anything under my pelvis. Right now, my right shin is pointed. My right knee is completely angled, which is not what we want. We want this hip to go forward, this shin to go forward to some degree. But like I mentioned, I'm having a knee thing, so I'm really not going to do that much. But if your hip is open, you can bring that right shin further forward and then come onto your forearms and bow forward. And this is a stretch deep in the butt, piriformis. You can walk your hands forward if you want more, elbows up if you want more. It's all relative, all right? Step back, hands and knees are downward dog. Second side, left knee forward. So, this I can actually show you. On this side, I have open hips. I can bring this shin forward and be even. And I would normally do that on the other side if my knee wasn't unhappy. So I'm going to keep my left side where my right side is today. And I do that all the time. I'm trying not to go deeper on one side than the other. Not a positive to do that. Come onto the forearms. Find that piriformis muscle. So why I don't like something under the left hip is I think that lets you sit into the left hip. And the idea is to actually bring the sit bones to level. And that's work to be up off of a block. So you could put a blanket there if you use it to lift off of without putting weight on it. Bring the hands forward if that works. Elbows can be up. That just puts more weight in the upper body. Nice. Come on down. And downward facing dog or hands and knees. I was planning on more piriformis stuff, but my knee is kind of telling me not to do that. So, let's do some standing poses. And we're going to also work on what we have not been working on enough of, which is L shapes. Heels line up on the outer back edge of the mat. Take the feet as wide apart as you want. Stick the butt out, right? Don't tuck under. Get the groins to deepen. Point the right foot. Bring the arms out. So we start with the spine straight up and down. We start with the hips pointing forward. If your hips are loose, your hips don't have to change much for you to make your way down, right? I'm still in a pretty open plane. That's an open hip, but if your hips are tight, give yourself a break. Turn that left hip forward, and that lets the right hip crease. So your trunk might be angled towards the floor. Who cares? Ultimately, you might be able to twist the trunk open and not change the hip. You also might be able to twist the trunk open and stack the hip. But this pose is super about press the inner right foot down and come on up. It's about the alignment of the hip, the leg in the hip socket, and then, you know, what kind of length you have in the back. It's a big psoas stretch on the top side, and that needs to be long for you to journey over easily. I line up, so I use the heels in line with each other. You can bring that right foot into the middle of the mat a little bit. So arms are up. We start with the hips pointing forward, shoulders forward. And if the hips are open, you just start that journey and there is no change. And eventually you're going to come to the floor without making a big shift here. And you get that same openness and rotation. But I do not care if you start by giving yourself a break. And I did not mention use a block, right? Use a block for your hand. So here I'm just giving my hip socket so much more freedom to come into the pose, even though it's sort of like Parsvatonasana. But then I'm going to try to keep the groins deep but stack the hips, arms away from each other, inner feet down, press that inner foot down to come up, Trikonasana, step the feet together. Okay, so we're going to do Trikonasana again into Ardha Chandrasana. Legs wide apart. Don't hesitate to use a block. So if you use a block, the block is just an extension of the hand. So you're going to act as if you have a block in your hand. And I will talk you through that. All right, so line up. I am putting my heels on the outer edge of the mat. So now the right foot is lined up on the edge of the mat. If you want to make life easier, same thing. If you had to turn your hip in, bring your left foot to the middle of the mat, like 2 or 3 inches, because it gives you so much more space to work to come over. So you're going to choose your foot position. The foot position is everything. Arms out. Trikonasana. Come on over. Find your pose. Now Ardha Chandrasana. Left hand to the left hip, bending the right knee. Once my knee gets to my ankle, I bring the back foot in a little, not too much. It allows the right knee to go past the ankle now, but it doesn't go past the toes. Hand comes forward with that right knee bent. I start lifting the left leg up. When the left leg is where I want it, I fully straighten the right leg. And when that's happening, I bring the left arm up. I don't pick the leg up higher than the hip. I pretty much stay at the height of the hip. I'm trying to get my toes to point and really get that lift, stack, and extension through the pelvis. And then you're gonna bend the right knee. And it's like you want to be able to take the hand off the floor and float back to Trikonasana. Come on up. Switch the position of the feet. So, same game. It is definitely more advanced to line the heels up. It's even more advanced to line the front heel up with the arch. I don't bother. Take that back foot into the middle if you want, arms out. Trikonasana. So left hand down, right arm up, stack the hips, yada yada. Bend the left knee, not too far. That frees the left hand forward, the right leg forward. You bend the knee more if you want. And as the right leg comes up, then I fully straighten the left. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Outer hip working to lift that leg. Both sides of the neck equal. And again, in slow motion, like you want to be able to take that hand up and hang and gently make your way back. Foot would like to land where it began. Trikonasana, and come on up. Parallel feet, nicely done. Step the feet together. Awesome. These poses are not easy. I'm going to give it a shot. Just deciding where to put my mat. No, that's not a good place. I don't want you to see me sideways. Not going to happen. All right, so come onto your hands and knees. If you can, you're going to come to a wall. You're going to have your feet up against the wall. So these are not for everyone. They're certainly fun to try, and it's not that you can't get hurt, but if you can't do it, you're just not doing it. So I'm in a pretty deep position here with my wrist right underneath my shoulders. If you want, just walk your hands out about 3 to 4 inches. I'll cut that for me in about half. All right, so from there, press the inner hand down and take your knees, take both knees off the floor. Now you might be done, who cares, right? And you might get scared. Put the right foot up the wall and you can put it up higher to make life easier. Nothing is about to make life too easy, because then you're going to press into this right foot to take the left foot up to meet it. So that's going to be work. If you're up, you might have your feet apart, you might bring them together. Press the inner hand down and don't let your pinkies go too wide. And come on down and take child's pose. While those are no joke, should be working a lot of muscles here, as long as these muscles are playing along. And if these muscles are not playing along, you're going to be collapsing. So we want to wake these muscles up, and I have to say, I know these are hard poses, but they are the poses that really build a better back. So, second leg. If that was easy, walk your hands back a little, walk your feet lower. You're trying to figure out what is an exact else, doesn't matter. Inner hand down, pinkies not too wide, knees up. So if you started with the left foot, or in the right foot, you're going to start with the left. Come on in. L-shaped handstand. Inner hand down. Even weight in both arms. Breathe easy. Pull the belly in. Try to activate the back muscles by engaging the front muscles. Pull the belly in. Come on down. I mean, you're trying to make these muscles light up. That's how you know they're working. And then once you light them up and do this a bunch, they're all good. You don't need to feel them anymore. All right, one more of those for good measure. And if you've done them before and they're easy, you're going to jump up. And we're not going to do handstands today, but hopefully we'll get back to them. So it's light as a feather. You want to land your feet where you want the full pose to be. You want your hands as close to the wall as you can bear. Press the inner hand down. Take the knees up. Nice and light. Jump silently to the wall. Feet press. If you can bring the legs together, bring the legs together. And really press into the wall. Press into the inner hand and pull the belly in. Pull the belly in. Come on. Gonna come down lighter than that. That was not light as a feather. All right. Come on back. Let's grab a block. So Thursday's class will be at 11 again. All right, come on down. Bridge pose. Feet parallel. Actually, let's do some roll-ups. I just love roll-ups. We'll do a couple abs. Arms out and up. Palms face up, then palms face each other. Work your legs how you want. You can let them be nothing, but I've been working on legs together, pointing to the feet, arms up. Slowly come up. And now watch as you go down. You want to be in control. So if you watch me do it this time, there's a lack of smoothness to the whole motion. There's a point where I have to give a little to figure out how to get up. And I'm looking to eliminate that over time, but not easy. Arms come up. And you just saw there was this moment where it doesn't bother me at all, but the neck gets involved, etc., etc. Slowly lower back down. We'll do one more. Nice and easy, arms overhead. And then as they reach this top, pull yourself up to sit. Come to the forward bend if you like. Slowly and easily roll back, as if you could stop anywhere you want, keeping the feet heels down. And I'll talk you through one more, arms up. When the fingers reach, point straight up at the ceiling, bring the head and spine up in one solid piece, not from the neck. And then when you're up, find the forward bend. And when you're ready, make your way down. All right, come up to sit. Let's do Navasana before we do bridge. So sitting up tall, trying to get extension in the spine. Even though I'm leaning backwards, I'm not rounding backwards. I'm getting extension. Right? Not rounding backwards, but lengthening. Hands to the backs of the knees. Legs together, open the chest. Rock backwards, and this might be all you do. But if you watch, there was no change in my spine. Right? I'm not rounding over. I'm staying in. Then bring the shins up to the height of the knees if that feels good, and release the hands alongside the knees. And you're trying to stay in that length of the back. And then if you can, you extend the legs. And you want no change in the spine when you extend the legs, right? Even though I lost it a little, I didn't tuck under. It just makes it harder to keep that middle back open. So Navasana. Maybe you don't need to start with the hands on the thighs, right? That's going to be different for everybody, but that's a nice way to come into it. Hands to the backs of the knees, thighs, chest open. You can use the hand grip to open the chest. Shins up, release the hands without changing the spine. Keep the legs together, big toes touching.
inner thighs wrapping in, spine long, spine strong, gaze at the height of the ankle, and release. Nicely done. Lay flat on your back. Bridge pose to finish. All right, so lay flat, bend the knees, place the feet flat to the floor, parallel feet. We're pressing to the inner foot, squeeze the block, and lift the hips. Squeeze. Butt is working but relaxed, and when I say it's working, it's just doing its thing, moving towards the feet to help the hamstrings ground down. If you want to go higher, you're going to try to get the upper chest to open the pelvis up, if that makes sense. It's not that the upper chest is bending, but I am rolling up towards my cervical spine to lift the chest without losing the depth in the groins. See if you can hang in there for a few more breaths. The thing about it is, if you haven't done a lot of these, at some point I think the butt starts going, I have to help, I have to help. And we're trying to keep the inner thighs active, the feet grounded to the midline, and the abs working. Not that you need to feel that. It's not like I feel any of that happening. But I've been doing this a long time, so I feel like the muscles are fairly well trained. 30 more seconds if you can hang in, don't hesitate to stop. And release. All right, let's do a twist to finish. Stretch the legs out. Bring the right knee into the chest. And twist. Right knee across the left side of the body. And then right arm out to the side. Nice, easy breath. Come on back up. And switch. Left knee into the chest, left knee across the right side of the body. Look over the left shoulder. And back up. And release, Shavasana. Stretch the legs out. Let the feet open out, let the palms face up. Begin to deepen the breath. Move the fingers and the toes. Allow the head to move softly from side to side. Bend the knees. Roll to your right side. And when you're ready, come on up to sit in a comfortable position. I'm going to chant 1 on to finish. Let's inhale together. Make gentle fists. Place them in the low abdomen. And we'll bow forward to seal in today's practice.
Humble Sri Sadhguru Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for your effort. Have a great day.